that sort of stuff builds a much stronger relationship than the company realizes.
100%. I think companies don't want to invest in that with their current talent because there's this fear of, well, what if we help them build up their audience and we give them this platform and then they leave? And sure, that's a risk, but there's already the risk there already. These talented employees could leave at any time and take their expertise elsewhere.
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human, because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Corrina Owens. She is the go-to-market mind behind some of the most effective ABM plays in B2B SaaS. She's led award-winning programs at Gong, now works fractionally, advising and implementing pipeline-driving strategies at companies like Orem, Novotic, and User Gems. Congrats on your effective ABM plays and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Thanks, Carl. Happy to be here.
So I think ABM, account-based marketing, is seeing a new renaissance of importance because of how much AI is causing the digital landscape to become oversaturated and homogenized. Is going to lower quality slop. So how can a company approach being human first in their marketing in a crowded digital space, and what are some of the hurdles that they might face to get buy-in?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think when AI was really coming to scene, even like a year and a half ago, maybe closer to 2, I was on a podcast talking about how I think the number one skill sellers need to kind of look to refine in this ever increasing AI forward world is how to write effective emails, how to be persuasive, how to be storytellers. I think what AI has done is, while it certainly has amazing use cases, I don't know I could run my own business without it. I think it has made it easier for marketers and sellers to replicate playbooks much faster. And so your audience is seeing the same thing much quicker over and over again. And so their ability to snuff out the BS is just becoming a lot easier to do. Never mind the fact that it's already just incredibly noisy in the digital space. But I think that it's really you are afforded now the time to really build those interpersonal skills. So what is it like to connect with somebody on a level that's not just tied to a KPI, right? What does it mean to really get to know your buyer? What do they do, in their spare time? What are their interests? What are their career aspirations? So I think it's a huge opportunity for both marketers and sellers to just find ways to build that networking muscle, build that relationship building muscle, because now we do have things that can help us get up to speed on the account and our buyers within them a lot quicker. So now it's on the onus of us to then actually be intentional and mindful about what are we reaching out to you with and why. Like, there has to be the so what factor for the person on the other end, so much more now than ever.
Yeah, because there's so much vying for their attention, and they're going to 100% pay more attention to ones where they have a relationship with the sender rather than just another cold email or pitch slap through LinkedIn. If you have that connection with them, again, like you mentioned, like what do they do on like their spare time? What are their aspirations? Who are they as a human being first? Your content is going to stand out a lot more, and that relationship's going to be a lot stronger than if you just come across as someone else who's trying to get their money.
Yeah.
And because there's tons of those out there, and there's so many of them are just such obvious haphazardly slapped together campaigns or like email blasts or like LinkedIn blasts and stuff and I don't know how that people still think those work because you're just going around burning bridges everywhere you go. Whereas if you start by connecting with people and building a relationship and getting to know, asking them questions and really like showing interest in who they are as a human first, that just stands out like a breath of fresh air in a humid swamp, and it's going to not just make them more likely to want to work with you, but then they're going to tell all their friends and their network about the awesome experience they're having with you, because it's not what the kind of standard playbook is for so many of these companies now. They get wrapped up in oh, we can create a bunch of stuff with AI really quickly. Let's just start spewing out as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think too, some of this just goes back to just good principles of how to be, a really effective seller or a really good marketer. I think marketers are usually the ones in the go-to-market team that have the least amount of customer interactions, which I think is just a big mistake, because we are not gold the same way as sellers or customer success reps, right? Like we're here to build affinity. We're here to build trust. We're here to provide value to our audience, right? We should always be actively listening, and we should always be helpful. Like that is the role of a marketing team at its core function. And I think too many marketers are just behind the scenes. They don't get in the weeds with customers, and that's a really big miss. I think a really good kind of example of this is I was helping a B2B SaaS company run an event series, which was the goal of it was to really get customers in a room with their prospects, because we all know customers can do the best selling for us. And we quickly found that the CSMs, the AEs, they could not get a single person to open their email, reply to their email, even though it was just a great opportunity. Come meet our team, come meet other customers like you, hear what's new, have an amazing, fabulous dinner. And I think it's to your point, it's because most of their communications are just, oh, it's almost renewal time, better get something on the calendar, or, oh, here's a new product release, like I need to hit my quota, better reach out. And so there's just this bias when they're going to see that type of thing come up in their inbox. So it's not that we shouldn't do emails, it's just that we should be thoughtful with email as a channel, right? So we found that we couldn't rely on the team internally to really get those invites out the door, let alone RSVPs. So they leverage, people like me and other influencers that have spent years providing helpful content, helpful resources online. And to your point, like it's this layer of trust that we've built. And so, yeah, maybe they are a customer that you would have expected they were going to come, but they didn't reply to the people at your team. They replied to somebody that has consistently shown up to them as somebody that they can rely on and they can trust, and that maybe they want to get to know. So it's just one of the lowest hanging fruit opportunities, I think, for companies looking at their marketing team is how can we leverage this innate talent that they have, which is to provide helpful information to our audience? How can we leverage them in other ways beyond just maybe seeing them as, I don't know, a digital ad center, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity missed by companies that have internal teams of empowering their teams to be more of to show up more as people on their accounts, and not just as the ad team or as an ad person for this business. Because if you do want your emails to be open, besides just, you can't just, like you said, you just can't send the renewals and all like the salesy stuff that people aren't super excited to read. But if they get to know like someone in the marketing team as like a kind of influencer, like subject matter expert, or probably not gonna be a thought leader, but like some sort of like trusted personal brand for someone on the team, then that not only makes their connection with the business stronger, because now they feel connected to the person who's sending the emails, but it makes all the other communications you're doing more likely to be open, because it's not just, oh, this is like from info at companies. Oh, this is from like Steve. Oh, Steve is cool because he's like, feel like I actually know Steve on a personal level more than I know info at companyname.com. And it seems like most companies seem like they view that as like a nice to have, when really these days it's essential, because that human connection is absent in so many business relationships, that when you do build it and people find it, they're drawn to it like a magnet, because they aren't getting it other places, and they crave that connection, and they more and more want to do business with companies that they feel like they're actually connected with and in alignment with what they feel and believe and how they identify themselves. And if there's people on your team that they can see themselves in, and it's like, oh, I also have kids. Oh, make all the kids play soccer. And we also like love these movies. That sort of stuff builds a much stronger relationship than the company realizes.
100%. I think companies don't want to invest in that with their current talent because there's this fear of, well, what if we help them build up their audience and we give them this platform and then they leave? And sure, that's a risk, but there's already the risk there already. These talented employees could leave at any time and take their expertise elsewhere. There's so much equity they have built up for your brand. When you give them that platform and that ability to make those connections, it's so overlooked. It was definitely something at Gong that we faced where we were building so many like people brands from the team at Gong. And, around the same time, a lot of us kind of left at the same time, but that affinity for the brand is still there. Right. And so it's an important effort, I think, that people should take and invest in. And I think it's a really core part of too, like an effective account-based marketing strategy. You should always be thinking about like the entire buying group and how can you match them with similar personas. So especially in enterprise, right? Like you're going to have multiple different people, right? Sales teams, maybe customer success team, marketing team, product team. It's such an opportunity to connect those people at the account you're trying to sell into with the people that are working those same fields, those same departments at your own company. To your point, to just create more of a surround sound and make it a bit stickier, right?
Yeah, and also the you mentioned that companies were afraid, oh, if we invest in and build up these personal brands, the teams and they leave, we're out of luck. It's like, but if you're not already investing in your team, they're not going to be sticking around anyway. And if you like, you got to give that value first. You want them to stick around. If you make your place, like your company, a great place to work, and they feel supported and feel like they're contributing to something bigger, they'll want to stay because it's going to feed that part of themselves that is often like they don't feel like it's fulfilled in their work. But if you take care of your employees, they'll stick around. So I think it's that excuse for not investing in the personal brands of their teams is such a like a lack of understanding and short-sightedness on the like leadership's part, because without the employees, you don't have a business. And so the more your employees are empowered and feel welcome and feel like they belong there, that's going to radiate out to the clients, and they'll give better experiences to the clients, and the clients will want to stick around more and pay more and refer more people in, and your business does better. But it starts by making sure your employees are feeling appreciated and empowered and valued. And so helping them elevate their personal brands is a win-win-win for everyone. And it baffles me how kind of short-sighted or kind of cynical a lot of the leadership's view is on that, when it's absolutely the key to getting everything they are looking for when it comes to like bottom line and top line growth and all the like quarterly earnings, all the other kind of the metrics and the KPIs and stuff they care about. You get more of that for longer periods of time with overall less of an investment over time by just investing more in your people.
100%. I mean, it makes it real. It makes it tangible. It takes, it brings like the words you maybe have on what are your values or your core mission. Like it just brings it to life. I mean, I saw a stat in Edelman that I think still really rings true. It's only a couple of years old, but it said that 82% of buyers inherently trust a brand more and are more likely to make a purchasing decision if they see that their leaders are active on social. And that's because they can see the person like in a more human way, right? Like, how do they speak? How do they talk? What are their interests? You know, they can see themselves in them. And so there's data there to validate it too. And to your point, I think it's just a little bit short-sighted to think about it more from an egocentric place, right?
Yeah, and it's also, there's this interesting like over cautiousness, I think, especially with like executives being out in the public space, because if they do like a gaffe or do something wrong that can really influence like the like stock price or like the issue, there's like more ramifications. So they're often like everything they put us with like legally, like approved by legal and overly sanitized. But again, that, and obviously you don't want to go the other end where they're just like spouting crazy stuff, because then, yeah, it will hurt the business. But you got to find that middle ground where they can be themselves and more human on social, like in the public arena, because people can't connect to the super polished mirror shine PR approved surfaces. We need those cracks and gaps and rough spots to grab onto. And so especially if it's like a smaller founder led like business where the personal brand of the founder is kind of the inspiration for the business's brand, if they're not out there, that's a huge red flag for people. Is like, should we really buy from this company? Because if I can't trust the founder, and the founder is supposedly the core of like why the business exists, but they're nowhere to be seen, or I don't really feel like I know them, that's just like going to create this tension that is going to kill a lot more deals than it helps.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, like back to the point about how you should really enable your employees to feel empowered to share their voice and, what they're doing at your company. I think if you stay stuck in the founder-led sales motion for too long, you're just going to plateau. So, it's a great way to think about, again, how are we going to get to that next stage of growth? Is how can I now transfer my founder-led sales model to other people inside my company to empower them to kind of take on what I've done so that I can now go focus on bigger rocks.
Yeah, and that's a big inflection point that I think like I said, a lot of companies plateau at for longer than they need to or at all, because all sorts of other like emotionally and like ego driven things that the founder might need to let go of, depending on what their character is, and also just not having, if they don't plan for that ahead of time, they might not have the right people, like the right team members in place that can, because you can't just like walk up to someone like randomly marketing and go, hey, you're our new like champion for the brand, get out there and start posting, because that's not their forte, not their kind of who they are. It's going to be disastrous. You can't, it's like a horse to water sort of thing. You can't force them to do it. But if you plan and build your team and kind of train the right people to make that transition easier than it is possible to make happen, but you can't just do it on a whim and kind of start like drawing straws to who's going to be the new face of a brand or one of the like champions of a brand at a company. But it's definitely one of those steps in growth that companies need to go through if they're starting off as a founder-led sales model.
Totally.
So what's like when you're coming in to a company for the first time as a fractional sense and you see all the flailing, all the craziness, what's like the first step you recommend people take to start moving towards the results they want from an ABM standpoint? Because I think it'd be a great way to cap off the episode with something that people go, okay, I can start applying this today because there's flailing abounding.
Yeah, I think that it starts with really kind of uncovering an aha moment within their data. So I'm typically brought in by the CMO of organizations, but I absolutely interface with RevOps and sales pretty early on too. And I think the most interesting thing is when I come in to do really like analysis of like, okay, what does good look like? What does an ICP fit account mean for you? What are the different buying signals that might indicate that somebody's in market for you all? I'll take a look at that and I'll always come away with one at least data point that shocks all those three people in the room, in the marketing room, the sales room, and the RevOps room. And oftentimes it's a pretty critical signal, like, nope, it's actually, you had assumption that your ICP was this firmographic or demographic. 9 times out of 10, it's actually this one, and it's going to be, 200x the ARR that you typically think it is. And so I think that coming in as a third party and having a fresh set of eyes through somebody that really understands, like, what does it take to progress an account and an account-based marketing motion in enterprise, it unlocks a lot of aha moments and really stops kind of like the internal biases, right? The disagreement between marketing, disagreement with sales, maybe even RevOps, and it just kind of gets to the heart of what is the one thing that we need to be focusing on as a business that we might not have been aware of that's going to help us not just this quarter, but 2 quarters from now. So beyond just even like marketing tactics and programs, it's often spotting a light on data that they already have access to that's already within their systems, but it just hasn't been uncovered yet that can really indicate for them like a pipeline reality for them this quarter.
That's awesome. So yeah, you already got the data, you're just not looking at the right parts of it and not reading it properly. So a great takeaway for anyone listening and that wants to improve their ABM. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Corrina. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please leave a review, and share it. If you'd like to connect with myself or Corrina, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.